Jesse Tyler Ferguson is a celebrated actor on the highly acclaimed sitcom Modern Family and earned him 4 Emmy nominations. He lives with his husband, Justin, in the hills above Los Angeles.
I came from a very stable, sometimes boring family, and I really do appreciate that. My dad's mom, I was also very close with. I'm actually named after her. The moment my grandmother passed away, you don't have that person to talk to get those personal stories from. I am very excited to explore my dad's side just because there's so much that I don't know about my history, and my grandma's gone.
Let's look at some of the photos, and maybe this will jog some questions here. This is a picture of my mother.
This is Grandma Jessie.
Yeah. And this is my maternal
Oh my
grandfather,
God.
Jesse Wheat Uppercute.
All right, so this is Grandma Jessie's dad, my great-grandfather.
Correct.
Christmas Day, 1923. A modest token of affection from your husband.
To Elizabeth Uppercute.
So this is Elizabeth, my great-grandmother.
Correct.
Wow. That's where your knowledge ends, too.
Pretty much.
We should Google Jesse Uppercute. The Baltimore murder. Miss Amelia Wheat was murdered in her bed at about 2 o'clock this morning. Her nephew, named Jesse Uppercute, has been arrested, charged with the murder. Okay, well, this got juicy really fast. If this was like a distant relative, it might be a different thing, but knowing that it was my grandmother, who I knew so well, and it was her father, that makes it so much more real.
It seems like Jesse Uppercute had the means and the opportunity, so they're focusing on him in the investigation, and they've chosen to arrest him. Let's take a look at some newspapers and try to figure out what exactly happened.
The will of the murdered lady. This will was found at the house where the murder was committed. Some donations were made to a Methodist Protestant church, and the balance to young Uppercute, then amounting to about $22,000.
It's largely a circumstantial case. He's arrested because he has the means, the opportunity, and apparently a motive.
Right.
But his character becomes one of the deciding factors.
December 16th, jury not being able to agree in discharge, which means that they couldn't decide the case.
Down here, though, this is a reference to a second case. So the fact that they bothered to have a second trial suggests that, at least in the eyes of the prosecutors, they had a real case and they really could get a guilty verdict.
Okay, here's a second trial. Verdict, not guilty. I would have a hard time really calling him innocent. But I'm wondering what happens after he walks away a free man. So now I'm searching for Uppercute.
We want the 1880 census.
Here we have age 30, spouse's name, L.I. Uppercute. That's not my great-grandmother. These are people I've never heard of. All of a sudden, there's this other family that I didn't know anything about. I'm going to speak with cultural historian Scott Sandage. I've asked him to research Jesse Wheat Uppercute's life after his acquittal.
This is a historical timeline that we created from the research.
Okay. Wow, so he was on trial again for the embezzlement of $1,800 from the First National Bank. 1886, Jesse Wheat Uppercute sues for divorce from his wife. 1886, September 29th, Jesse Wheat Uppercute is arrested. Pull it together, Jesse, what happened? I'm starting to draw conclusions that he was a bit of a con man. Okay, here's something. Gold seekers begin the journey for the Alaskan gold fields. At the head of the party is lawyer J.W. Uppercute, who was the promoter of this trip. Are you kidding me? Alaska?
Wrangell, Alaska.
I have never even heard of that place.
Your great-grandfather's expedition is a unique one, as far as I can see. Most of the Klondike expeditions didn't have the grandiose plans of your great-grandfather.
I'm really excited to actually be on a boat and sort of relive what happened with him. So this is where my great-grandfather would have come.
Absolutely.
It says, and now our trouble began. A resolution was passed that all members who desired might leave the expedition and still retain all of their interest in it by leaving their share of the food to those who chose to remain. The promoter left for home August 6th. So my great-grandfather was one of the people who left. They just kept coming up against barrier after barrier after barrier, and I wasn't surprised when I found out that he had left.
Apparently there's a package from Scott Sandage back at my hotel. Hopefully there'll be more information about my great-grandfather's later life.
Jesse shows up in the 1900 census living in Brooklyn, New York with his wife Sadie and daughter Muriel. And then they were divorced 7 years after that. In July 1914, Jesse Uppercue and Elizabeth Quigg, now there's my great-grandmother, Elizabeth Quigg, are married in Suffern, New York. The same year of their marriage, Jesse legally adopts Elizabeth's children, Grace and Dorothy. Jesse Uppercue and Elizabeth Quigg are divorced in November 1925. I don't know where Elizabeth Quigg went, but when they divorced, he continued to take care of them as his own. I'm proud of him. I guess I just wish that I knew a lot of this stuff earlier when my grandma was still alive, so I could talk to her about it and ask her questions about it. I guess I miss her more now than I did when she passed away.